Hello students, this is the third lecture on the nervous system in series of the general anatomy. Okay. Now in this lecture, very briefly we will learn about the formation of the typical spinal nerve. As we know that there are 31 pairs of the spinal nerve, 31 from right side and 31 from left side. Okay. So there are 8 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral, or 1 or 2 coccygeal nerve, which are rudimentary nerves. Okay, so we will learn about how these spinal nerves are formed. Go to the next slide. Now, students, this is a illustration which where the spinal nerve formation is seen from the posterior aspect. Let us see this. This is the spinal nerve running into the vertebral canal. Okay, and from every level there is a one spinal nerve coming out. Okay, so in this way there are 31 spinal nerves which comes out. Okay, and they run onto the lateral side. So means 31 they are coming from right side and 31 they are coming from the left side. Here only on one side the spinal nerves are shown here. So this was just a rough idea for you to see that this how the spinal nerves they come out from the spinal card. Now I will move to the next slide where we will see the segment of two consecutive segment where we will see how the spinal nerves they run on right side as well as to the left side. Now, this is a diagram which is showing the two adjacent vertebrae, thoracic vertebrae. This is the spinal cord which will go into the vertebral canal, and this is the intervertebral foramina. Okay, through this intervertebral foramina, this is the ventral ramus of the spinal nerve is coming. Don't worry, I will just explain what is the ventral ramus of the spinal nerve. There will be the dorsal ramus of the spinal nerve will be going towards the posterior aspect. A communication is also here with this spinal nerve with that of the sympathetic chain, which is showing here two ganglion of the sympathetic chain are seen. Thus the spinal nerve is going on both the side. Here, see, this is onto the right side and this is onto the left side. So many branches that comes out from this ventral ramus as well as from the dorsal ramus of the spinal cord. I hope that some of the idea about the spinal nerve you must have got from this I mean to say slide. Now I move to the next slide. Now, if we see the formation of the typical spinal nerve, in this diagram I will explain you the typical spinal nerve which is shown only on one side. Okay, so if you will see here, this is the transverse section of the spinal cord, anterior horn, posterior horn, central canal, and from on one side this nerve which is coming out from the spinal cord from its anterolateral aspect, this is the ventral root of the spinal nerve, and this ventral root of the spinal nerve will join here, okay, with the another root here which is called as the dorsal root of the spinal nerve. This dorsal root of the spinal nerve is sending fiber to the posterior horn, while this anterior root of the spinal nerve is bringing the fibers from anterior horn. Okay, now in the dorsal spinal root, okay, there is a swelling, and this swelling is the spinal ganglion. And in the last lecture I told you that a ganglion outside is present outside the central nervous system, means it is outside the brain and spinal cord, and it is nothing but the collection of the nerve cells. So here is the presence of the collection of thousands of the nerve cells in a single spinal ganglion. Okay, now then after the roots, then this dorsal and ventral root will unite to form a trunk, and then this trunk will divide into two. One of its branch will go posteriorly on the back side, while a larger branch which is called as the ventral ramus This is called as ventral ramus. It will come on to the ventral aspect. So the trunk divides into the ventral ramus and dorsal ramus. Okay, and many branches will arise from ventral and the dorsal rami. Okay, so this is just a brief the structure of a typical spinal nerve. Okay, and now we will see sorry. Well, now I come to the formation of a typical spinal nerve. A typical spinal nerve arises from two roots as we have seen in the last slide, dorsal and ventral roots. The ventral root arises from the motor neurons. See here, this is the ventral root, okay, and this will arise from the neurons which are located in the ventral horn, and these neurons which are located in ventral horn, they are efferent neurons or motor neuron. That means they will send their axon outside the spinal cord, okay, and these axons which are arising from the motor neurons in the ventral horn of the spinal cord will go, okay, through the dorsal as well as through the ventral rami to supply the skeletal muscle fibers. Okay, so these fibers which are present in ventral root, they are motor and they are coming out from the spinal cord, and ultimately they will terminate to supply the muscle, okay, skeletal muscle. So they are called as motor fibers, right? Now in the dorsal root, okay, which is the posterior from the dorsal root, which contain the sensory fibers, okay, and these sensory fibers, they are going towards the spinal cord, okay, thus it contains the afferent fibers or sensory fibers, okay, and these fibers, they arise in the pseudo unipolar neuron which are located in the dorsal root ganglion. See this is the dorsal root ganglion, which is the collection of the sensory neuron, and its peripheral process will bring the sensation from the skin and from the somatic areas of the body, and ultimately its central process will end into the neurons located in the dorsal horn, okay, of the gray matter, right? So these are the two types of the fibers present into the ventral root. It is motor, and the fibers present into the dorsal root, they are sensory, and beside this in the dorsal root there is presence of a ganglia which contain the pseudo unipolar neuron, which I will show you in the next slide. Now, here again we come to the formation of the typical spinal nerve, and here we have seen that the dorsal and ventral roots unite to form a trunk. See this was the dorsal root and this is the ventral root. They have united with each other to form what is called as the trunk of the spinal nerve. And then this trunk will divide into two. This is the dorsal rami and this is the ventral rami, okay, so that this is dorsal and the ventral rami. Now they come out here at this level, that is the trunk level, as well as the beginning of the dorsal and ventral rami. They come out through the intervertebral foramina. Since you are a beginner, you may not knowing what is an intervertebral foramina, but it is a foramina since the spinal cord is present in the vertebral canal and it comes out through the vertebral canal through the intervertebral foramina, which is present between the two adjacent vertebrae. Okay, now this now these fibers, they are mixed fibers. Okay, here only the ventral rami is shown here. This is the sensory fiber is shown in blue and the motor fiber is shown in the red. Now the ventral rami as well as the dorsal rami, now they will contain both mixed fibers. Some fibers will be motor, some will be sensory, while they separate out here in the root. Root contain the ventral root contain only motor fiber and the dorsal root contain only the sensory fibers. Okay, now the dorsal ramus, okay, which will go on to the back side here. It will supply the skin and muscle of the back region, while the ventral ramus, this will come out, okay, onto the ventrolateral aspect of the body, and it will supply the ventrolateral aspect of the trunk and the limbs. So the limbs are also supplied by the ventral ramus, okay. They are in the area of the, I mean, say, after formation of the brachial plexus, it supplies to the upper limb, and after formation of the lumbosacral plexus, it supplies to the muscles or the of the lower limbs, okay, lower limb. So what you have learned in this slide is that, okay, the ventral root is motor, containing motor fibers, and dorsal root contains the sensory fibers, but they come close to each other in the trunk, and then both the rami, ventral and dorsal, they contain both type of fibers, that is motor and sensory. Okay, I'm moving to the next slide. Now, here again, what kind of different fibers are present in a typical spinal nerve? A typical spinal nerve contains both type of the fibers, somatic fibers and autonomic fibers. In the peripheral nervous system classification, we learn that it is classified into somatic, autonomic and enteric nervous system. Now these somatic fibers, okay, this spinal nerve uh, will contain both type of fibers, somatic and autonomic or visceral fiber. Let us see first the somatic fibers which are present in a spinal nerve, and then we will see what are the autonomic nerves which are present into the spinal nerve. Now, somatic fibers. These fibers are concerned with the motor and sensory function, okay? So, sensation from skin and inside, that is from the skeletal muscle, tendons, joint, okay? All these are the sensory fibers, somatic from the trunk, from head and neck, and from the limbs which they go, okay? So, the major portion is somatic fibers. Now, the somatic, two types of somatic fibers are present here, somatic efferent or motor fibers. Okay, somatic efferent or motor fiber. Efferent and afferent may be a new term for you. Efferent means one, the fibers, those which carry the impulse away from the central nervous system. Okay, and afferent are those fibers which brings the sensory impulses towards the central nervous system. That you should know, afferent and efferent. Okay, but here you remember for efferent, motor, if you are not able to understand at this stage, and for afferent, you remember that they are sensory fibers which are bringing the impulse towards the spinal cord. Okay, so somatic efferent are motor fibers, they transmit the impulse to the skeletal muscle. Okay, I will again show you in the next diagram how they will go and innervate the skeletal muscles. And these are the axons which I have already told you. They are the axons of the motor neurons which are located in the anterior horn or the anterior gray column. Okay, and these fibers ultimately their stimulation or impulse, it leads to the contraction of the skeletal muscles. Okay, to the skeletal muscle. Now we come to the second kind of somatic fibers which are present in a spinal nerve, and it is sensory fibers or afferent fibers, and these transmit the sensation. These fibers, they transmit the sensation from body to the spinal cord, okay, from skin, from muscle, tendons, joint, okay, and these sensations, they go to the spinal cord. Okay, cells of these fibers are in dorsal root ganglion, which is in the outside the central nervous system, and their peripheral process bring the sensation of pain, touch and temperature from skin, and the proprioceptive sensation from muscle. What is a proprioceptive? This is a new term for you. Proprioceptive means sensation which are coming from muscle, tendon and joints. What are these sensations which are coming from? Extroceptive or skin sensation or It's okay. It is pain, it is touch, it is temperature which goes from your skin. But these are proprioceptive which tells you about the stretching of a muscle or tendon. Okay, the pain in a joint because of the tearing of the ligament or because of the I mean to say stretching of the capsule because of the excessive movement. Okay, when you start crossing the limit of a movement, say for example flexion or extension or rotation, now the nerve starts getting the impulse, I mean say start sending the impulse towards the spinal cord and then to the brain. Okay, so these are the impulses called as proprioceptive impulses. And from this central process of this dorsal root ganglion cell will go and end into the neurons present in the dorsal gray column of the spinal cord. I will show you both in the next diagram. Okay. Dear students, with the help of this diagram, I will explain you the somatic fibers present into the spinal nerve, as well as then I will also tell you about the visceral or the autonomic fibers which are constituting a spinal nerve, a typical spinal nerve. Now in this diagram you can see that this is the gray matter. Okay, here in the spinal cord this is the anterior horn cells, okay, are present. Only one anterior horn cell is shown into this anterior gray column or the anterior horn. There are hundreds to thousand motor neuron which are present in at one spinal segment. Okay, and they send their axonal process, okay, through the root, okay, that is the through the ventral root, and then this goes either into the dorsal rami or into the ventral ramus. Okay, and there they supply into the, I would say, to the skeletal muscle fiber. So these are the motor neuron, and stimulation of this motor neuron will ultimately lead to the contraction of the skeletal muscle. Now this is the motor component of, or the efferent component of the spinal nerve. Okay, when we see the another component, that is afferent component in this diagram, or sensory, then these sensory fibers, they arise as the peripheral process of this neuron which is located in the dorsal root ganglion. And what is the ganglion? Ganglion is nothing but the collection of the nerve cell outside the central nervous system, means outside the brain and the spinal cord. So its peripheral process is bringing the sensation. Say suppose it is skin, so the sensation like pain, touch and temperature will be brought to this neuron through its peripheral process, and then it will be conveyed to the dorsal horn cells of the spinal cord through this process, which is called as the central process. Okay, central process. In the similar way, here when you are seeing this, the dorsal root ganglion, this is also containing thousands of the neurons within a single ganglion. Okay, there are how many ganglions? There should be 31 ganglion, as there are 31 spinal nerves. So this is present both on right as well as to the left side. So this is the sensory component or sensory fibers present in a spinal nerve. Now see that here in the root, okay, the ventral root will contain only the motor fiber, and the dorsal root will contain only the sensory fibers. But then in the trunk, okay, where these two roots they meet each other, there is the both type of fibers, they come close to each other. Some of the fibers will go into the dorsal ramus, and some fibers will go into the ventral ramus. Okay, so rami, they contain the mixed fibers, both sensory as well as the motor fibers. Okay, so these are the component of the somatic fibers present into the spinal nerve. Now I will come to the second half, the opposite half of this diagram, where the visceral or autonomic fibers of the typical spinal nerves are shown. Don't get confused. For simplicity, on one side it was the somatic fibers were shown, on this side I have shown the autonomic fibers. Okay, autonomic. So let us see, but these fiber, both somatic and autonomic, they are present on both the sides. Okay, both the side. Let us see what are the visceral fibers present in a spinal nerve. Now there is a little difference between the motor fibers in somatic and motor fibers in the visceral, okay, or autonomic. Here there are two sets of the neuron in the pathway of the sympathetic or parasympathetic neurons, okay, motor neurons. Now these neurons, motor neurons, are located in the lateral horn of the gray column, or the lateral horn of the spinal gray. Okay, now this is a very small lateral horn, and this lateral horn are only seen in the spinal cord in the region from thoracic 1 to L2. L2 means lumbar 2. Okay, these are the sympathetic neuron. That's, and here whatsoever neuron is small multipolar neurons which are located in lateral horn, they are preganglionic sympathetic neuron. They are called preganglionic because there is one more neuron located in the sympathetic chain, okay, or the sympathetic trunk in the sympathetic ganglion here. That neuron is called as postganglionic sympathetic neuron. That's why this one is called as preganglion. So from spinal cord, the axons of this preganglionic sympathetic neuron, they starts, and it travels, since it is motor, it will travel into the anterior root, similar to that of the somatic. Okay, so somatic as well as visceral motor fibers, they will travel together into the ventral root, and when this will pass through the trunk and then will come to the ventral ramus, then these fibers from ventral ramus will jump to the sympathetic ganglion which is lying by its side, and then this will synapse with another neuron which is present in the sympathetic ganglion, that is called as postganglionic ganglionic sympathetic neuron, and its axon will arise which will go and join again to the ventral ramus. Okay, and then it will be distributed to the target organs, say for example glands, smooth muscle of viscera, or smooth muscle of the blood vessel, and organs like the heart. Okay, now these fibers, as it is shown here, to be passing through the ventral ramus, but it is also going to the dorsal ramus, which is not shown here for the simplicity of the diagram. Okay, so this postganglionic axon goes in the dorsal ramus as well as into the ventral ramus. Okay, now see, the fibers which take origin from preganglionic sympathetic neurons, they are myelinated fibers. Okay, and when they join from ventral ramus to that of the ganglion, sympathetic chain or sympathetic trunk. Okay, this connection is here where just I will put my pointer here on this connection. This connection is known as the white ramus communicantes. White ramus communicantes, because fibers which are going, they look white, okay, because they are myelinated. Okay, then the fibers which are arising, axon which are arising from postganglionic neurons, they are, which are joining to the ventral ramus, they are non-myelinated here, and they are shown as dotted line. Okay, so they are non-myelinated fibers, and that's why this communication between ventral ramus and sympathetic chain will be called as gray ramus communicantes. Gray ramus communicantes. So this is white ramus and this is the gray ramus communicantes. Okay, and the communication between the ventral ramus and the sympathetic chain. Okay, sympathetic chain. Now what about the sensory component of the viscera? Now the sensory component of the visceral fibers, they are exactly the same as that of the somatic fibers, because it is their neuron is located in dorsal root ganglion. Only that they begin here from smooth muscle, glands and viscera, okay, and they carry the sensation which is ultimately terminates into the dorsal root, okay, I would say here into the dorsal horn cell of the gray matter of the spinal cord. Sometime it may directly end onto the motor neurons in preganglionic sympathetic motor neuron into the lateral horn, into the lateral. So when it ends into these sensory neurons located into to the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, then these fibers which will arise from this neuron of the dorsal horn, they will ascend up to go to the head center, say for example to the hypothalamus. So this is the arrangement of the somatic, as well as I have shown you the arrangement of the autonomic fibers which are present into the spinal nerve. So both somatic and autonomic fibers are present, and both component, that is sensory as well as motor component of the somatic as well as that of the autonomic or visceral, they are present into the spinal nerve. Now I will go to the description of these visceral fibers, okay, which I have already explained. So I will be quick into the next slide. Now visceral fibers, these I said that they are also of two types, visceral motor and visceral sensory. Now visceral sensory are afferent fibers. They carry pain and stretch and reflex sensation from viscera, gland and blood vessels, okay, because sometimes we get the pain in our viscera, say for we sometime you must have got the pain in the stomach or abdomen, okay, or in case of the heart, I mean to say the person suffering from the heart attack, they get the pain in the chest, okay, severe pain, okay, these pains are mediated through the visceral sensory afferent fibers, okay. Now the sensation which are also going is the stretch sensation, okay, reflex sensation from the viscera, okay, okay, that means not only from viscera, also from gland and blood vessels, but these sensations, they don't reach to the level of our consciousness. We don't get any sensation from our gland, sweat gland or sebaceous gland. We don't get any sensation from our blood vessels when they are contracting or relaxing, okay. And so only few I mean to say sensation, say for example pain, when it is very severe pain, then only can be will be reaching to the level of consciousness. Otherwise the visceral sensation, they don't reach to our level of consciousness, but these sensations are constantly going to the spinal cord and then to the brain, okay, because ultimately these sensations are analyzed by brain and the action is taken, because this is motor and sensory component of the autonomic, they are acting automatically without our knowledge, without reaching to our level of consciousness. Now second component which we have seen in the last diagram was the visceral motor, which was efferent fibers, and these fibers carry impulse from spinal cord to smooth muscles of viscera, to the blood vessel, to the glands and to the other organs, okay. And these fibers are, as I said, for sympathetic, they are located in the spinal cord from thoracic 1 to L2, and for parasympathetic, they are located in the spinal cord in the sacral spinal segment, that is from sacral 2, 3 and 4 spinal segment, where the parasympathetic fibers, motor fibers are located. So both visceral motor and visceral sensory fiber of spinal nerves are the component of the autonomic nervous system, okay, as we have seen in the somatic component, okay, there were also the motor and sensory fibers. Now I move to the next slide. Now this is again the same thing is shown here. On this side it is somatic component, and on this side it is the visceral component of the spinal nerve fibers are shown here. Now I think this completes the formation of the spinal nerve, typical spinal nerve. As I said, there are 31 pairs, 31 on right side and left side, and each spinal nerve on either side consists of the motor and sensory fibers. Motor and sensory fibers for somatic division of the nervous system, and motor and sensory component for the autonomic division of the nervous system or visceral division of the nervous system. This will be for you a little difficult lecture, so I will suggest you to go again and read it from books and keep on drawing the diagram in your notebook. Okay, so you will understand it in better way. More detail of this spinal, and then I mean to say not spinal, more detail of the visceral this nervous system or autonomic nervous system will come in the next two lectures. Okay, in next two lectures. Thank you very much.